Okay, so the goal is to do as much of the connecting with your practice members before, during, and after visit one. And then also once they're an established practice member, whether it's on visit 10 or visit 20, or when you realize that they haven't been to the office in 6 months because you just ran into them in the supermarket and you think to yourself, man, I hope I didn't drop the ball there, right? This is about not dropping the ball. This is about making sure that you have octopus arms, right? You're in all the places at once. So the goal is to organize the people in your world. This is a whiteboard thing for me. Like, if you guys could see my office, I have a huge whiteboard over here. It's the size of a whole wall. And what I would do is I would go to that whiteboard and I would write down every kind of person that looks my way as far as my practice is concerned. And in my world, I have leads, like people who are interested, who have heard of me. I have practice alliance people, like people who are running businesses or leading in my community, who have heard of me and talk about what I do. I have new practice members in the scheduling process. I have practice members who have said yes to care. That's like the stage that they're in my universe. I have practice members who are on visit 10. So they've been around for a minute. They're really starting to feel the experience of what it's like to have a healthier nerve system. And then I might have practice members who are having babies. I might have practice members who are athletes. Like that can be its whole subdivision. So the first thing you want to do is categorize your people, the people who are looking at you, reaching out to you, trying to touch you, trying to learn from you. Who are they? And then obviously the final category is people who have left the practice. And every one of those groups is going to have a different need on how they get nurtured. And ideally, 90% of this is without you having to look at it. It happens automatically. 10% of it will require what we call a knee-to-knee, heart-to-heart conversation, where it might be somebody coming in. I do want to tell you the text that just came through. So this is just a for example for self-care for busy practitioners. In chiropractic, we talk about subluxation, and subluxation is when there is chaos in the nerve system and the body can't optimally function. And that's a subluxation. And what we do as chiropractors is we find those subluxations and we introduce the most honoring force to help the body figure out that chaos and move into a state of optimal health, right? So I take that concept and I bring it to my work. And one of the things that I do, this is just a by the way thought, is I kept feeling like my team would like sign off or leave for the day without me getting to connect with them. And it was creating a subluxation. It was creating a dissonance in the field. And it was making me feel like, wait, I just have one more thing and I didn't get to say the one more thing and then I forget about it. And maybe I'll bring it up next week and I'll have like an edge about me on it because I never got to say it, right? So one of the ways, the adjustment I had for that is to ask what we call our queen bees, like our main people on our team, to send me a text 20 minutes before you log off for the day, because we're all virtual. Shoot me a text or tap me on the shoulder if you're sitting elbow to elbow with me and say, hey, I got 20 minutes left. Is there anything that you need? These are the ways that we protect ourselves when we're running a practice and we're wearing 50 hats at once. Just an example. So that was Marge saying, hey, I got 20 minutes left. What do you need? Just an FYI. Okay, so then let's go back to our categories because that was a total detour. And the categories are going to look like new patients in the scheduling process, current practice members, people who have left care, inactive practice members, pregnant practice members, athletic practice members, whatever your categories are. And then I want you to start brainstorming. If you were that person, what would you want before, during, and after their next experience with you? If it's a lead who doesn't know who you are yet, they're just learning about you, they might get to know your name on social media. What do you want them to receive before their next experience with you? And the next experience might be an ad pops up because you're investing in Facebook ads. Or a next experience might be that they join your Facebook group and they get invited to a free training that you're offering. What do you want them to experience, depending on what category they're in, before, during, and after their next experience with you? That's the plan. That's you planning this. Then we're going to look at something like this spreadsheet. And if you're not a spreadsheet person, map this out on a whiteboard, or take, I'm a big fan of yellow pads, right? Take a legal pad and just start writing stuff out. If there's somebody who's a great brainstormer on your team, have them do this. Don't do this if you're in a place of overwhelm and you're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, and you're the doctor and you have a team of people who have space, have them do this work for you. Okay. And ask them the question, what would you want to receive if you just heard my name for the first time? What would be not too much, but not enough? What would be just right? So this spreadsheet is simply just to organize. And again, if you're not a spreadsheet person, don't use it. So the example is a lead opt-in. What does that mean? If somebody is in my hemisphere, they've heard about me, but they haven't come to see me yet, or they haven't made their first point of contact with me yet, they're what we call a lead. And if they opt in to receiving messages from me or emails, my newsletter, my blog, whatever I have going on for my practice, they're now a lead opt-in. When do I want them to receive their first communication? What do I want them to receive? What are the words? Plan it out now so that you don't have like creative burden when you're banging this out, right? When's the next piece coming to them? What is the next piece? What does the next piece say? When is the next piece coming to them? What is the next piece? What does the next piece say? And on and on and on. So I want to, and then I gave you just, this just has examples in it. I just want to show you how this comes into play. So let me go to the Staffless Practice Suite. And you can use any program. You don't have to use a practice suite for this. I don't know why you wouldn't, right? But if it's not your jam, that's totally cool. So we just created an automation in the suite. Nope, sorry, I went to the wrong one. Hold on. Nurture campaign. Okay, you ready? Check this out, you guys. This campaign, I think it's 65 emails long. This is a nurturing sequence for an entire year, sending an email every 3 days with little pieces to get to know Jody, to establish trust with me. These people will only get this campaign if the trigger for the campaign is they get tagged nurture. And that's a manual thing. That's something that somebody has to do. And the condition is they're not an active practice member in my world, right? It's because my active people get the tag active. And then they start on this nurturing campaign. So if you take something like this, and to this, you can add anything. You can add dropping a voice message saying, hey, it's Dr. Jody. You've been in my world for the past week. I just wanted to check in and see how it was going. Let me know if you have any questions for me. I'm right here on the other side of the computer. And then I would see my phone number twice. That's called a voicemail drop. And you can make it so that that only delivers between the hours of 9 and 8 p.m. so that it doesn't go, they don't get a voicemail at 3 in the morning. How does that work? It looks like you just called their phone and left a voicemail, but you didn't call their phone. It just drops a voicemail. It's absolutely the coolest feature I have ever seen in a platform like this. So that's a voicemail drop. And if you think about like, where in your world could people use a phone call? Hey, are you doing okay? We haven't seen you in a while. It's Dr. Aaron. Check in with me. Just shoot a text over to my office, right? If somebody gets tagged inactive, or inactive 1 or inactive 4, however you organize this, they can get the voicemail drop because they have that tag now. And the voicemail drop is, hey, it's Dr. Erin. I'm thinking of you. It's been a minute since I've seen you at the office. I just wanted to check in and make sure we didn't drop the ball. Right? And their human instinct is going to say, oh no, she thinks she dropped the ball. I need to reach out to her office and say everything's okay. Then you've heard from your inactive practice member and you can place them back on this wherever they need to land. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you guys have a question?
No, we were just talking about how great that'll be for what we do.
It really, so you want to think about if it's a DOT person, if it's a new practice member, if it's a mama who just had a baby, you can opt her into a course that you have in your practice suite for the top 10 things to think about when caring for your newborn from a chiropractic perspective. Or if you're a PT or an OT and you have somebody who was just referred by their MD because they got in an accident and they need to get evaluated for their musculoskeletal performance for their whatever, right? You can have a series or a sequence that happens that not only nurtures the lead, but it also nurtures the person who referred them. And that can all happen. The coolest thing about automation is that the answer is always yes. Can you do this? Yes. Can you do this? Yes. The hardest thing is knowing what the question is. That's why you start with creative. You start with, don't look at any of this and have a conversation with your best friend or your team and say, if you were new in my world and you didn't know me from a hole in the wall, I'm the crazy chiropractor in Clinton, New Jersey. They don't know who I am. They don't know that I've been serving people for 25 years and I've served over 250,000 adjustments. They don't know that I don't hurt people. They don't know any of it. They don't know that I'm not going to take them to the bank, right? They don't know anything. So fresh slate, they probably think that back pain is about, or chiropractic is about back pain and headaches. So why in God's name would I want to bring my newborn to a chiropractor? My newborn doesn't have back pain and headaches. So how do I nurture them from the very first time? They probably just had a baby. This is for this category of people. They're probably completely overwhelmed, overtired, nurtured. They're probably hungry. They're probably angry a little bit, right? They're probably all of it. And someone told them that you help with tongue tie, or someone told them that you might be a solution for the baby not sleeping. This is just an example. What do you need to put in front of them to make them feel easeful, not overwhelmed? Put yourself in their shoes. And you guys, this goes back to, like, we've got these core pieces in Staffless Practice Academy, and one of them is identifying who your perfect practice member is and knowing everything about them. What's too much, what's too little, what's just enough. What do they want to hear? What do they want to see? What do they want to feel? All of it. Most of the time, what? Most of the time, what they want to hear is your voice, and they want to have you put their nerves at ease. That what are the common fears when somebody knocks on your door? In my world, their fears are they're going to have to come forever. I'm going to charge them an arm and a leg, no pun intended, and I'm going to hurt them. Those are their fears. So how can I, with my voice and my calming vibe, put their hearts at ease so that they click on, yes, book a call with me right now? Take time to plan this piece out, okay? And if you need any creative support with what your group should be, you definitely want to have an inactive group. And then, like, what do you want to do? point touch 1, point touch 2, point touch 3. How long between each point touch? And if you're one of the Staffless Practice Academy students or in one of our coaching programs, you have our whole recall program. It's actually in the practice suite. It's in bundles and bonuses. So how do you organize that? What do you say on the first text that goes out for a practice recall? How do you make it really easy for them to answer you without taking 10 minutes? They don't want to call you, you guys. They don't want a phone call, especially if they're not planning on coming back. They want to drop a 3 to tell you to leave them alone without being embarrassed or like feeling weird about it. Or they want to drop a 2 to you to say, keep me on this list, but I'm not ready to come back yet. Or they want to drop a 1 to get on your schedule this week. They just want to drop a 1, 2, or 3. They don't want to get on the phone and hear about what a great day it is because they're doing 53 other things. You're just the chiropractor. You're just the PT. You're just the OT. You're one of many in their world. To me, you're everything. So you can go through this process using a spreadsheet, a whiteboard, a legal pad, whatever, just go through it. I don't care how you go through it. Put your automations together. If you're not using a practice suite, you can do something like this with, you could probably use like MailChimp or Constant Contact and make that see Zapier. However, please remember that Zapier is not HIPAA compliant. And then you could send a text, and then it just gets really clunky and disconnected if it's not all on one platform, which is literally why we created the practice suite. There were too many pieces involved and they were overlapping on each other, and it was a mess. Okay, I think that's everything that I wanted to share about part 1 of the automations. Next week, we're going to put the automations and workflows together. So bring me examples. Bring me your questions from this week. You're probably watching the replay because only 2 of my community members are in the live. The rest of you are slackers. But listen to this and come to it next week live with me so that we can take your examples and we can put them to use. I'm going to stop recording and take questions.